Blessings, blessings. Thanks for hopping right on. We apologize for our lateness. Time just got away from us. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. Thanks for jumping on so quickly. The last 2 weeks have been so fruitful with our conversations, which lets us know that there's many of us out here that, hey T, there's many of us out here that are experiencing some of the same things, but we don't know how to talk about it. We don't know who to talk about it with. We don't know how to talk about it without feeling shame or condemnation. Just different things that we as individuals are living with and are dealing with. And because of days of old and leading up until now, we just didn't know how to talk about it. Now that you have the platform, or now that you have different segments where you are able to freely speak, you just don't know how to do it because for so many years you've been taught you better not, or for so many years you've been made to feel like that you're dealing with makes you feel abnormal, or makes you feel like you don't matter or you don't count. And so my bestie and I for the past 2 weeks have been talking about panic, signs of a panic attack versus anxiety. It ventured off. A couple of people started talking about other things. That's just how it goes here. Wherever the conversation leads us, that's where we'll go. We're still aiming at making ourselves a better us. It's all about loving the me that I see. Whether I'm living with panic attacks or anxiety or not, I'm learning to love the me that I see. And this is the same thing we say for you all, whatever it is that you're dealing with. No need to feel shamed about it. No need to feel guilty about it. It is what it is. And whatever happened, happened. And it's caused us to have up these, walls that, people are unaware of. They just, see that you're pushing back, but they don't understand why. And we don't know how to tell them why. So it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot. It's not as simple as, oh, just talk about it or just say it. For some of us, it is just easier than others. And so, we find ourselves dealing with things in silence, and I think that people who live that close to silence, are leading themselves to a slow death because they don't know how to talk about what's going on. So like I said, for the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about panic attacks and anxiety. Last week, we touched a little bit on being invisible, being in a crowded room and yet being invisible, being right there in front of somebody that you're talking to and still being considered invisible. Why am I still invisible? And this is a question that some people have when they are trying to make the best of themselves. Hey, Jihad, when they are trying to change, or when they feel like they're finally facing that things that they went through in their past, finally getting the courage to talk about it, and now you just feel invisible. It's like people walk, if they could, they would walk right through you. That's how invisible you feel. It's like, I'm in the room, I'm participating in the conversation, or I'm participating in the event, and yet I'm invisible. It's a real thing, and people feel like that and live like that for a long time because they don't know how to say it, and some of them because every time they try to talk about it, they're made to feel small, or they're made to feel like, it's all in their mind. They continue to die in silence because nobody hears their voice, nobody hears their tears, nobody understands their conversation. And so it is a lot, to feeling invisible in a very visible situation. Um, Being in a conversation in a social setting, and different ones giving their opinions and it being recognized. And then when you speak, it's almost as though nothing was ever said. They go on like they didn't even hear you speak. They don't even look in your direction. They just go on with their conversation as if your comment never came into the atmosphere. And so, you feel invisible. And then, that on top of everything that you're already dealing with, can sometimes tip us over. Some people end up in crises. Some people end up, really taking it personal and taking this lonely walk. And it might be small to you, but major to them. Therefore, they become depressed, therefore leading to suicidal thoughts. And sometimes people actually trying to carry it out. And so in today's time, with everything that's going on, the different slang statements, or the emojis, or the acronyms, different things that are going on that you are unable to catch up with because you are afraid to really enter into the arena because of how you've been made to feel in the past. How do I get over that? How do I get over that? What would you all say to somebody who, really felt like, between dealing with panic and or anxiety attacks, dealing with bipolar disorder, dealing with ADD versus ADHD, dealing with situations of pain, you're dealing with this on a regular basis, and you're constantly around people, and yet you can't figure out why they don't pick up on where you are, or feel like there's a need to make you be a part of what's going on. Being invisible is a real place for a lot of people. Love you too, sir. You just would never believe. Hey, Pastor, you would never believe how many people are walking around outside of their panic and anxiety, but just feeling invisible. Like no matter where they go, they just feel invisible. People are all around them. I was even saying to my bestie, who is right here, the other day, we were somewhere together, and someone came and acknowledged her but did not acknowledge me. And I was like, I wonder what that's about. And she was like, what? I was like, you didn't see that happened? And she was like, oh, well, maybe they were busy, or maybe they just didn't realize that's what they did. I said, it's kind of hard to miss when you're right next to somebody. That's something intentional. And so that was the statement. Am I invisible? Because I thought I was here too. And so those are the things that we have been talking about, since we started talking about panic attacks and anxiety, because even though people feel like they're the same, there's a difference. It might be, minute, but there is a difference between the two. It also affects people differently. Some people really end up with a heart attack. Some people end up, just grounded for a few days because of meds that may have to be taken, bringing themselves back around. You'd be surprised at what goes through the minds of people who are living on a daily basis with something that makes them feel like they're not a part of society, or they're not accepted in the arenas that they would like to be in. How you would be even in church. They say we have cliques, those set people. You come to church, somebody could say, how you doing? And you'd be, hi, just keep on moving. Like they say, because you're trying to get to that person you're always with, or after service, when everybody's, now getting ready to go home, and you're watching the different conversations, and you look around and everybody is in one or two other locations, and you're just there, wondering whether you should walk up into one of the conversations, or should you continue to be invisible, and so it's a real place. We've been places where we've heard conversation. Maybe it was intentional for us to hear it. Maybe they didn't realize we were standing there, and they would say, oh, well, where's the love? Or what happened to this and what happened to that? Rather than deal with something directly, we go around about. And I would like for the day to come back to the church being that place where everyone could come for peace, where everyone could come, and as while I'm in church, there's nothing else that's on my mind other than God, the music, the worship, being able to cry and get release. When will we get back to that place where people don't have to feel invisible in a crowded room? When will we get back to the place of discernment, which would cause you to go over to someone who's in the same service that you're in and say, hey, I don't know everything that's going on, but I felt led, to come and let you know that it's going to be all right. Or if you need somebody to talk to, those days are few and far between. And most times when it happens now, is more nosy than discernment. Let's just be real. They want to be the one that when they hear somebody saying, well, did you see so-and-so? Or have you heard from so-and-so? And I don't know what's going on with them. They changing. And you like to be that one that said, child, let me tell you, because I did. You like to be the one that have all the tea. And that's not the purpose of being sensitive or having discernment. Is not to use it against the individual, but to allow them to have a part of freedom, to release without condemnation, to release without being laughed at, to release without losing the respect that goes along with whatever their name or title might be. In our conversations, when we just sit back and laugh sometimes at things that would cause the normal person, to just say, forget it. You know what? I don't want to be bothered. And sometimes it could be either one of us, because she puts up with more, I think, than I do, and I'd be like, I don't even know how you do it. And she's like, well, that's just who I am. And I realize that, and I know that, and I try not to let it get in the way of her being taken for granted or taken advantage of. But if I'm having a panic attack, right? What is the first thing that you would do? How would you even know what a panic attack looks like if you were in the room with somebody at the moment? Would you know whether they were instead having an anxiety attack, or, just afraid of new? Some people come into your surroundings and they're new to the crowd, or they're new to the scene, and nobody acknowledges that there's someone new in the building, and everybody just talks around you. They don't come to you. They don't come say hello. Or sometimes I've experienced saying hello to somebody and they ain't say nothing back. So I'll go back again and say hello. And they ain't say nothing. I'm like, how you doing? Just to get a response to let them know that I see them, and I just want them to have a nice day or have a nice moment. To be honest, most times I try my best to stay alert. It's just, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm trying to move forward from panic and anxiety, but it seems to be what everybody's really dealing with. We got a lot of people in church on medicine, and they don't want to tell nobody. They don't want to let nobody know. They don't want to be able to me, it would explain sometimes a lot of different outbursts or It would also explain somebody being withdrawn, because it depends on what they're dealing with and what medicines they're on and what that medicine causes them to do. And I believe that people should be able to, because the church is supposed to be the hospital, so we should be able to come and share with one another without worrying about backlash, or without worrying about your business being exposed, or without, somebody making you feel low because you got a diagnosis, or you got to take meds for this, or you just don't seem to be able to fit in. And so it's a lot that people deal with on a regular basis that um, really requires some serious sensitivity and empathy. That's a good word, empathy. A lot of us, because it's not what we're going through, we don't feel like it's that big a deal. Well, that's just how they, child, please, they do that all the time. Well, did you wonder why? Like, maybe they can't help it. I don't know. That's just me. I just feel like um, I'm trying now, as we are trying now, to provide open doors for people that weren't open for us. Um, Being able to allow someone to say, hey, I don't like to talk about this, but I am living with bipolar disorder. That's not something, oh, for real? Like, what you doing? What, don't you got to take something for that? That's not what they need at the moment. They're sharing with you because, for whatever the reason, they thought that they could trust you with that information, and that there would be something that you might be able to say to help them get through it, to help them know that they are not in this alone. They don't have to deal with it on their own. There are some genuine people out here who would truly like to be there for you, who can listen to you, don't always have to speak, but really listen to you. Learn how to be an active listener, which means that you can not only hear what they're saying, but hear what they're not saying, and that you would respond accordingly. People who are living with these diagnoses, schizophrenia, like I said, bipolar disorder, low self-esteem, ADD, ODD. There's a lot of folks out here with ODD. Oh my goodness. There's a ODD, oppositional defiance disorder. Oh, those people that can't handle no. There's a lot of people out here with that. And so I think that we should get to the place where folks are comfortable sharing. We didn't come on to say a whole lot tonight. We was trying to figure out, should we start another subject, or should we stay where we are? Last week we thought we were going to move into another subject, but there was still some conversation left on panic and anxiety attacks. And so tonight we add the word invisible to that, because a lot of people are standing very present in your place, but invisible in your eyes. And that hurts. It messes with people's low self-esteem. And it just causes you, and I'm going to keep on saying it, because when we were growing up, they said the church was the hospital, which means that it's a house for all things, all people. The church was the place where whatever you were going through at home, or you had a horrible day at work. Hey, Shay, you got to text me and let me know how it went today. Yeah, you feel like going to the church, which is supposed to be the hospital, is that place where you are triaged and you are handled accordingly. So in order to be triaged, somebody actually has to actually have a conversation with you, because they're going to ask you what brought you to the hospital. They're going to ask you how long it took. They're going to ask you how did it make you feel. They're going to take your temperature. There's something about that temperature. They're going to take your blood pressure. And a lot of times in the church, we fail to use a thermometer. We fail to use a thermometer. We are so accustomed to things being the way that they are, that we are not sensitive enough in the atmosphere to notice change. And so our desire is that the church would come back to be in that place where everybody was made to feel comfortable. Everybody was made to feel all right. So talking about being invisible, I'm telling you, it's a real thing. I want to say like maybe preteen into young adult, we kind of felt like that way. We were always there on the scene but never seen. Always on the scene but never seen. And there was just so much that needed to be done in order for you to be included in anything. And people unknowingly caused you to feel very left out, very abandoned, very rejected. It messes with their esteem. People tend to get withdrawn. There's a lot of things that go along with some of the diagnoses. Having to deal with people on a regular basis with bipolar, as we do, because we do have people that are in our circle of friends, for lack of better wording, that are living with that disorder, bipolar disorder. And we don't spend time trying to show them how bad that could be. We spend most times trying to help them understand that they can live a normal life, even with a diagnosis. It's just a matter of how you handle what you have. Many of us may not have bipolar disease. We might not have panic attacks or anxiety, but you have other health issues that make you feel like you can't participate to the fullest, or nobody really wants to be bothered with you, or you got to be careful how you handle this and that. It is just a lot that people hold on to every day, just waiting for an opportunity to let it out, and not be made to feel bad. A lot of leaders died an early death, or a premature death, I should say, because of life, because they were still of the opinion, as we grew up in, that the church was your hospital and that you should be able to confess your faults one to the other. And that person who was stronger would be able to bear the infirmity of the weak and be able to let them know that it's going to be all right. But unfortunately, instead of that, they shared, and then what they had was exposed and brought out into the world's platform, causing these people to take their lives. They became suicidal. They became depressed, then became suicidal in thought, and then they followed it through. A lot of them took their lives, and it's an unfortunate thing. We have people who are leaving us because of broken hearts. Investing so much of yourself into an individual that when that individual is no longer here, it causes you harm to yourself. And it's real. Nobody really wants to talk about this kind of stuff, but it's what's going on in the church. When we got all of this conflict, and everybody wants to be seen. Nobody wants to hear, but they want to be heard. Nobody seems to understand, but they want to be understood. Everybody's talking at instead of talking to. And, instead the church has now become the boxing ring. People meeting up at church with the motive of fight. They're going expecting to see, so that other things can, and they don't realize that there are other people in that same place that is watching what's going on. And we're going to have to give an account, for folks who, for the flocks that have been scattered. Pastors will be, it says, receive a woe for that. But at the same time, there are people watching you that you are unaware of, that's paying attention to how you respond to things, that's paying attention to how much trouble you stay in, that's paying attention to how you actually participate in your worship service. There are people who are watching you that you'll never know until you do something that causes them to stumble, and then your name might come up in conversation. People who are, I would hate to say bullied, because we're talking about the church for the most part, but there are those who feel very intimidated about those that are around them. Some, even leadership, feel intimidated when they get around each other and feel like, oh, well, you have to prove that you know just as much, or you're off in a corner not being a part of the conversation because you're afraid they might ask something that you don't know, and you don't want them to, make fun of you, or blessings. Oh, he's an overseer, right? Anthony. He's an overseer. Overy.
A bishop.
Bishop. Blessings, Bishop. Thanks for joining in. There are so many things that we are letting go, that back in the day when we were coming up, the mothers was like on it, even if they didn't necessarily have to get to the pastor, because the mothers were on the job. You walk in there and they would tell you walking different. What's going on? They prayed. They were in prayer mode at all times, and also sensitive, and they could tell, and they would address you. Back in the day, things were different when it came to dealing with stuff that was done. Because like back in the day, we got openly rebuked. You openly rebuke somebody today, they leave in your church. And that's for those who are afraid they're going to lose tithers. Baby, either you're going to be here for it all, or you're going to be here for it none. You understand? Because what people fail to realize, and we was talking about that, I think last week, when I said people don't realize that when you join a church, what you're saying is, I might not agree with everything that you're doing, but because I'm joining the church, I'm agreeing that I'm going to abide by whatever rules and regulations you set. That's what it means when you join a church. It doesn't mean that everything is going to go your way, or that you're going to like everything that happens, or that you're going to agree with the way. What it says is, whatever this means at the end of the day, because I've joined, because people say, God told me that, because I joined, I'm going to abide by the rules and regulations, even if I don't like them.
I tend to, this might be a wrong word, and you could correct me if it is, despise people that come to me and say, God sent me here. Because as soon as something happened, as soon as you and one of the members have a disagreement, as soon as you feel, oh, the pastor was preaching about me, you jumping up and you leaving and going to the next church. So I despise that word, because it has happened to me so many times. People have come to me and say, well, God told me that I'm supposed to be here with you and I'm supposed to work with you. And as soon as something that I had no control over, or that I didn't do, or I wasn't a part of, happened, you forget that God told you, or that God sent you here to work with me. And it's a hurtful thing. It's a hurtful place to be in, and it's a hurtful thing. But I just despise it. I just...
You don't like it. You feel some kind of way.
Yes.
Feel some kind of way, because that's why I tell people, God be sitting back laughing at some of us, because we blame him for a lot of stuff. You got in trouble at the other church you was in, and this is way off topic, y'all. We know that, but that's how it goes here. You down the street at this other church, and everything was going well, but then they started using somebody else more than they were using you, and now you're going to find you another church where they can use it. And most people cling to the churches that just starting out. Let me go to them, because they're going to need me. They're going to need somebody to do something. So let me go to that church that's just starting out, because they'll just let me do stuff just because they want something done, and that's not a good way to handle what God is trying to do through and for you. If you are claiming the Lord as your Savior, trust me, there's going to be many days we don't like what we go through, or many days that, we feel like we could do things a little bit better than what's being done. But the fact of the matter is, that wasn't your choice. That wasn't your job. When when the Bible says that he'll give us pastors after his own heart, you have to really be able to see the people in the way that God would see them. Which means that even though they're doing this crazy stuff right here in your face, you still have to look beyond that and see what could become. But nobody really does that anymore. I don't like what happened. That's all I got to say about it. Miss me with it. See you later. Go to church down the street. Oh, what? Didn't you used to belong to so and so? They was like, yeah. Well, I told them, it was time for me to leave. Yeah, they lie. I told them it was time for me. They lied. They didn't tell the story. They lied. That was time for me to leave, and I thanked them, for my time. And then if you're me, you're going to want to reach out to that leader anyway. But not many people are doing that because they're just so glad that somebody, I don't ever want to be so glad to have somebody come into the church that I don't want to know where they came from. Because what you bring in drama from somewhere. I don't want recycled members. I want some church people, which means those that come in off the street, those who have not belonged to a church before, who are willing and open and teachable and can grow, ministry in the way that you would like them to. How we get here? How we get to church? How do we do that?
Because that's where your panic and anxiety comes from, the church. They the ones that give it to you.
I'm telling you, there are people sitting in your congregations, really, for real, like on the real. There are people sitting in your congregation that have attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, oppositional defiance disorder,
A crazy disorder.
schizophrenia. There's some people in your congregation that are living with these diagnoses and are ashamed of them to the point where they rather you think something wrong with them than let you know what's really going on. And when I say they rather let you think that something's wrong with them, meaning like, oh well, I'll take the title rebellious right now, because they don't know. Because when you get by, they don't know what I'm dealing with. So how they know? They don't know. They don't know. But at least if the church would get back to the days of discernment, they would be able to at least pick up the, hey, there's something wrong. There's something off. You want to talk about it? I think that there's so much intimidation when it comes to us as an individual. And it's not always that the other person is causing it. You do it before you beat up on yourself before anybody else gets a chance to do it. Or you sit yourself down before anybody gets a chance to do it. Or you talk about you. You give yourself a fit about what you think about yourself sometimes. And it's because you rather do it than have somebody else do it. I would love, and I'm going to keep on saying it, I would love, absolutely love for the church to get back to the days of old when we cared truly one for the other, when we truly loved our neighbor as ourselves. Some people like to be literal. Oh, well, my neighbor lived right next to. No, your neighbor is anybody other than you. And you're supposed to love them as you love yourself. And I think that for a lot of people, they only want to experience it when it's coming towards them, when they want you to see what's being done to them and you want people to come to the rescue. But you've got to be able to make a full circle of that thing, a full circle of that thing. Somebodies we know, that are living with panic attacks. Those things are real. They are real. They can cause you to have a heart attack. Panic attacks are real, and they don't always give you a warning. It just happens. And so you're already, hey baby boy. What was that? Panic attacks. They can cause you to have a heart attack. They're just, no warning signs. It just happens. You could just be like really talking to somebody and boom. Or you could have just finished having that conversation and then sitting there and thinking about it. And then it just caused crazy stuff to go on. And, sometimes it's embarrassing for some because you have no control over it at that point. You just have to ride it out. And, hey, Tori. And, then people you're wondering what people think of you, which is causing more agitation, you know. And I know that the Bible says be anxious for nothing, but the fact of the matter is there are many who are living with anxiety issues. And they are brought about from things that have been done over the years, not something that just happened yesterday. These are things that have built up over time and been left there lying dormant with nobody to deal with them because at that time nobody didn't know how. And now that you really need to help, you don't know how to say, that this is what I've been with for all of these years. And I think that it's an unfortunate thing that we can't come to the church with it. I think it's very unfortunate because we want people to believe in God. We tell people to pray to God, but we're the reasons why they're not coming to God.
That part.
And when you're taught, and this part does have everything to do with loving yourself, because if you are not careful and you don't have the ability to love on yourself as you should, it could cost you life. It can cost you relationships. Like it could just cost you so much, and it's not cool. It's just not cool. I don't know, if my feelings should be where they are so much, but I just really have a problem with the fact that more people stray away from the church than to it anymore for the same reasons, because the streets know how to treat you. That's what they say.
Everybody talking about this video on Facebook of Todd Tribbett, how he said that the church is whack because they're leaning more towards political aspect than saving the souls of the people.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Some of it is true, but I wouldn't have said the church was whack. But the church got a lot of issues, and they're coming down on him for what he felt, but that's his belief. You can't knock him because of what he feels. Maybe he could have worded it different, but the churches are making people feel like they don't matter. And it's very true. It's praying time.
It's been praying time. It's truly been praying time. A lot of people, don't like those who are willing to say. Yeah, I do believe that there's a way to say everything. I'm not going to act like I don't. I don't know. I can't say I wouldn't have said the church is whack. I can't even say it. I'd be lying, because for me, ain't no telling, because I'm just going to say what I feel. I have learned, everything lawful is not expedient. And so, I've learned how to flavor some things so that it doesn't seem so rude and abrupt. But, and I've been saying it, and I'll keep on saying it, just like Noah kept on saying it's going to rain. I'm going to keep on saying it. I'm waiting for the day when the church would come back to church. If the church would come back to church, all of those, including myself and yourself, who have been living with diagnoses or who have lived with traumatic experiences, won't have to feel bound in the place that's supposed to give them freedom.
Maybe some leaders don't know how to help the people deal with it because they're trying to figure out how to deal with it themselves. So some leaders, I don't know.
I want to be my best me, which means that every aspect of my life that I'm participating in, I need to be able to be free in that. And for some, that's impossible because of, our surroundings, or because of how we've been made to feel by the ones we love and looked up to, and our feelings were hurt based on, the way they responded to finding out that this is something that you deal with, or that's something that you deal with. When you finally say something out loud, you find out who really got you, who really is there to walk you through, or who's willing to pray with you, because once you speak that, then they be like, oh, well, I ain't got time for that. You know what? I love you, but I'll see you later. That's basically what you're saying, because now that it's been spoken and people see you with that, now they're going to say, well, they must be two of the same feather. Why does it have to be that way? They always try to make something negative that really has a positive, feature to it. If I'm here and I'm willing to hold your hand and walk you through something, that does not mean that I have the same issue you have. That means that I love you enough to care enough to walk with you, not just while it's comfortable, but even when it's uncomfortable, even when my name might be scandalized for being there for you. That's never stopped me before, and I don't think it ever will, because I love helping. I love being a part of a solution. It doesn't make sense to tell me everything that's wrong with me if you're not going to tell me anything that's going to better me. If all you have is to tell me what I'm not good at, where's the room for what I am good at? And this is where a lot of people, we've become withdrawn, and people call you antisocial. No, people pushed you back there. You didn't have the strength that, the next person had to withstand stuff that was being said and done. And so it caused you to go backwards instead of forward. And so who's going to be, that individual who's going to do what the word tells you to do? Go after that person who's weak in the moment. What you're supposed to be able to pull them up. You're not supposed to help them lay down, And so in order for me to get the fullness of loving the me I see concerning myself, I have to be able to fully accept everything that is right and everything that is wrong. And when I say wrong, it could be a sickness, not necessarily you in error, but all of the things that you have to deal with that make you feel like you are imperfect. And so we want to get to a place. I would love us to get back to the place where that was what the church was known for. Right now, the church is a stage.
The church is trying to find a church.
Right now, the church is a stage. Some churches trying to, be like the world, so much so that they're trying, and they'll blame it. Everybody blame it on the youth. Well, I'm just trying to be, open. I'm just trying to be out there so my young people. Yeah, but how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go? Because people are standing back laughing at you because you're trying to get people to come to church when actually you're already bringing the world to the church and calling it Christ. But nevertheless, that's not my subject of tonight. So, it's just an unfortunate thing that I can't be honest about who I am because hey ma,
Hey, baby.
G-Ma say, hey baby girl, I can't be my best self because my best self sometimes intimidates. And I've been trying to figure that out for a minute. Those other people around, I mean, there are people in our circle right now that are intimidated by you. And you over here trying to figure out how to be all right. And they over there just as I believe, tonight I say I a lot. We believe that everybody is worth your attention. And when we say that everybody's worth your attention, until you fully, do I want to say invest? Until you fully invest in what you're looking at, you'll never know the potential of what can come out of it. It's easy to talk about something, but it's better to talk about something and know what you're talking about. So, I don't know. I just have all of these opinions and desires. My ultimate desire is that, hey, Bishop Speaks. Um, my desire is that, and I'll keep on saying it, that the church would come back to church. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. A lot of people have low self-esteem or none at all. You have a wealth of wisdom inside of you. Oh, baby boy. Um, there are many people um, who have low self-esteem because it started from the home at a very young age. You know, that child who was always told that they're bad, that child that was always called stupid, that child that was always saying you ain't gonna be nothing, especially if the other parent wasn't in the, on the scene. Or you're gonna be no good, just like so and so. You know, this is what they grew up with. And then as they got older, um, they still were suppressing these things from their formative years. Nobody ever dealt with it. Nobody ever picked up on it, or those who saw it just, saw it and didn't, and so now you're growing up into your preteen and teen years, and you got all kinds of issues, and it is of no fault of your own, except that it is where you came from. So now you get to the place where I'm tired of being here and I really want to be free. And now who do I do that with? How do I become the best me if I never get to talk about who I really am? How do I know who I really am? That's the question. How do I know who I really am? Because in my mind, I'm that bad, stupid person that ain't gonna never be nothing and nobody ever gonna want you. That's still in your head. Because they said it while you were in the years of being a sponge, when you just absorbed everything. Now I'm trying to love me. I'm expecting my man to love me. I'm expecting my woman to love me. And I don't even know how to love me. I just don't know. I miss the days of shut-ins and church meetings. It helped me to get through everyday life lessons, knowing that you had like-minded people around you to really support. I'm telling you, days of these shut-ins, they ain't even ready for it. I keep telling the church, we getting ready to go in. New year, new day. But we need to go back. There's some things that
First gotta get them to prayer.
there's certain things that are from the church of old that need to be brought back. And that is like the prayers and the shut-ins. We did an all-night prayer where we had a different preacher for every hour. We had a song or dance, and it went rather well. But there were many people who, well, what they doing? I don't see how that's going to, they didn't come expecting, and then God showed up and did a wonderful thing, because God wants us to pray. He wants us to communicate with him. And I know, some people say, well, sometimes you're better off alone. I say, you're better off getting to know who you really are. If you get to know who you really are, there's just certain things you just would not accept. You just wouldn't allow it to happen, not without, saying something. What are you doing? Sorry, my cat. But it's just like everybody talks about it, but nobody does. Or this thing that I totally, I gotta say the word hate, I totally dislike, is that instead of us, supporting one another, we go against each other when it comes. Okay, so let's go to I better not, because folks will go back telling it the wrong way. But you want to have something, and so you go to somebody and you say, hey, you know what? I got this great idea. Let's do this. This is what I wanted to do. And then instead of that person helping you, they take your idea and try to make it their own. We don't have to do that. We could all come in here, pull it together, and this week you do it, this week I'll do it, and we all have the same support because we travel from one place to the other together. Everything now has to be a competition and all this stuff, and going back to intimidating things. I don't know. Maybe I expect too much. I just think that the church should do better. I feel like the youth today would benefit from that kind of church. It's my desire to bring it back. I just don't know how to go about it. And would it make the youth feel, but it would make the youth feel more apart. Well, we do it down here.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Read her statement.
Yes.
I feel like the youth today would benefit from that kind of church. It's my desire to bring it back. I just don't know how to go about it, but it would make the youth feel more apart. And we're doing that now. We're starting to do that down here. We're having like the all-nighters. I did one service recently up in Newark, New Jersey. Didn't really get the support that I would have loved, but I did see the same type of service happen thereafter, which didn't make me feel nice at all. I believe shut-ins and tarry services had more effect back in the day because people were less exposed to church culture and more focused on what they needed when they came to church versus what they know is happening during service with so-and-so or with the pastor or the prophet behind closed doors. That inside knowledge or exposure takes away from the novelty of these experiences.
I can't see, but I bet you that's Reggie.
Yes, Reggie. That's my baby boy. I'm telling you. Full of knowledge. I'm telling you. And I'm telling you, baby boy, my kids are on here now, except for the eldest boy, and we had shut-ins, and the kids wasn't at home while we were shutting in. The kids were shutting in with us, and they went to school from the shut-in, and they came back after school was over straight to the church for the shut-in, and we had scripture around the clock. We had things that were done, but now, I don't know, with the struggle that I had just getting people to come to an all-night service, or all night, we had prayer and worship.
With the moonlights on. That's why they ain't coming. A side note, Elder Baby Boy, that Zariah is a beast. She sung to us today.
She called me, boo.
I was like, girl, you better sing.
She was like, Grandma, are you busy?
So proper.
She was like, oh my God, you had to hear it. People will say they want it back, but you'll never see it happen, which brings about the question, who actually wants to go back? Because ain't nobody doing it no more. Shut-ins and tarry services. We are. That's the...
Hell, there ain't nobody coming.
It's not that... I can't speak for everybody else, but we attempted it. And rather than people come together and help, they watched from a distance, and then they did their own thing not even a month later, right? It was not even a month later.
I think that it's because...
I love shut-ins. I'm for it.
It's the people that's doing it, these high class people, I guess that's what you call them. I don't even know what to call them. But
people who have more clout.
Yes. People gravitate to those big names, and that's the word. Those big names. You ever hear somebody say, oh my God, this big preacher is coming to town. You don't want to miss it. And I'll be trying to figure out, what does a big preacher mean? I'm big too. I might not be popular, but I'm big. So, that's what I think.
Tanasia says, a lot of people desire the formality of it, but don't desire the change that comes from the old school ways. And that's facts. That's the same thing Elder Baby Boy is saying, the same thing. Everybody's saying, oh, they talk about the days of old, but when you start trying to do some of the things from days of old, everybody try to make you feel ancient and like it's not relevant to today. But I don't ever want to forget my foundation. Ever. I don't ever want to forget my foundation, because my foundation is the reason why I'm able to be steadfast as I am now. My old foundation, those praying nights, those tarrying services, still rebuking, because there's some tithe payers that came and some tithe payers that left. Is word or not? I'm not on the side of what's popular. I'm on the side of what's right. I'm on the side of what's going to benefit you as an individual. And, our feelings have been hurt many times, being called on. And my children had to, watch these things happen, being called on to help people do different things. And I will still never stop because it's what I love to do. But then when it came time for us needing, nobody had the time. Nobody had, the unction, to join in and try to help or push or even support, but I just, I refuse to let them change who God made me to be. And I just really, we here every Wednesday night talking about loving the me I see and how we can do it, and different emotions that we've experienced and gone through, different traumas that we have all experienced that were similar but not the same. I just want to be able to come to church and be real about who I am, and not be condemned for that, because it doesn't meet the criteria for the popular clubs, or that shouldn't have been said in church, or that shouldn't have been done. Honey, back in the day, they did some crazy stuff to us, that I would never, do now. But there are some things that I still hold fast to because it's part of my foundation. It is the reason why I've been able to last this long and not every week got to come back and ask God for the same thing. I'm just not going to do it. That's a lot of energy. First of all, he already knew what you was going to ask before you came. So just come and ask and leave it there. Don't come back every time. Every revival, you shouldn't be at the same place. Not every revival. Let's see. Prophetess said, people make it about money instead of just ministry. We just love church. And that is so true. Now, let me tell you, that's such a touchy subject. Hey, Pastor Patterson. That's a touchy subject when you say they make it about money instead of ministry. I've been in services where, of course, they say, oh, well, you want the title, you got to come with the money. The higher title.
You're a bishop, you got to have $300.
And all of those things like that. There are those who sometimes I've had it and sometimes I haven't, but I can be sensitive enough to feel those that are around me that feel like they want to go through the floor, because they keep on staying here and they know that this person has that title and know that this person, has not moved, obviously meaning that they don't have anything. I think that when we beat people like that, we're constantly, trying to make them feel, to me, shame to give it. I'm going to shame you. I'm going to keep on talking about your title, and calling your name out, and acting like you're using me as an example and stuff like that, but other than that, when it comes for me, tithes, Pastor Patterson says she loves us.
I love you, Pooh.
Tithes and offering is an essential part of the church. You're never going to be able to get away from it, because there's word both in Old and New Testament. But I think that some people just go overboard. There is no reason why you would think that I'm going to pay you $5,000 to come preach to me for 30 minutes.
And only put $20 in the offering.
Just not going to do it because Jesus didn't charge you, And so that's a whole nother lie. That's a whole nother lie. Because I feel my boiler, my boiler started rising. But yes, we love church. I have never had a problem with going to church. Even to the point where people are like, why are you going over there? They was talking about you. They don't like you. I don't care. Church is going. They got somebody coming that I do appreciate. And so I don't mind being in the building. We go to places we know people don't like us.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Absolutely.
All the time. Because we're going to continue to do it.
To hear the word, huh?
Coming to church for God, honey. When you start going to church for God and not people, you'll be all right. What'd you say?
Who was that just came on?
Just came on which
Other
page?
Pastor Patterson.
Quanisha.
Oh, I thought so. Hey, Pooh, I'm so proud of you. You did a good job today. You did amazing.
She on my main page. She's not
She
on
did
11 and me. I
amazing. I
see.
hope she can hear me.
She should be able to hear you though. The older I get, the more I can appreciate what and how we were brought up. And I talk to my kids and wish they could experience just a piece of it. The days of Uncle Leonard. Yes. That was my Uncle Bishop. Tanasia says, and they got starter packets for those who desire to have a title. The robe.
Go to bed. Go to bed.
And they got a starter pack for those who desire to have a title. The robe, the Sigma ring, the voice, but no authenticity. Ooh, that is powerful. That is powerful.
Not a starter pack, though.
Starter pack.
You found out that's where somebody got theirs from. That's why they
I can't. Y'all are being ratchet. Some churches have contracts with other churches where they give each other designated offerings. Really? Some churches have contracts with other churches where they give each other designated offerings. You ever heard that?
No.
Wow. You got to talk to me more about that, baby boy.
Wait, no.
Not here, though. Huh?
What'd she say?
I won't go as far as to say $5,000 is too much for any one ministry because I don't know the cost to maintain or operate it. And that's true. That's true. Right, now, understand my point of view. When we first started out, maybe 10 people strong, you come to the church and you got this, and we would do it too, $500 and $700 honorarium, and here we go. My pastor always taught me that you never let this person with this title, don't matter who the person is, but the title, you don't never let that title come into your church, and you don't let them leave with less than this or this or this, and it went all the way down from apostle all the way down to minister. And then we would do that, and then that same person who charged us $500 to $700 gave us $20. That's rape. That's rape. Because why would you feel comfortable coming, charging such a thing, and then leaving nothing? It defeats your purpose of coming to the church. It's not that we were looking for your money. We were looking for the word, but we gave you all of what we had plus that next month's rent,
and still you can't pay the light bill,
and you gave us $20. I think that it's just when you have, and what we started saying in our letters to those who come to us that have these large honorariums, not many of them come to us because I'm not going to give you more than the church has been able to give me. Just not doing it. What I look like giving you 1,000 and we still trying to get the church to give me 5, so I'm not going to do that. But, what we started doing now in our letters is when they do have an honorarium, we say, okay, while we're willing to meet you according to your honorarium, we're praying that you in return are going to bless the church just the same, and you have to talk like that. So, everybody be on the same page when they're coming. But yeah, it has been going on for years, baby boy. It really has. I'm gonna have to do a whole nother live on this because I don't know how we got here from panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and loving me. I see, but I love it
because so much money.
I was going to say because this is that forum though. We're willing to talk about it all. Because if you're conversating about it, that means that it's important to you. And if it's important to you, it's important to us. And that's what happens when you're on your own platform. You can do that. Once or twice a year, every year, a big name church preacher will come to your church with a specific offering, and you would do the same for them at their church, whether it's, okay, I get what you're saying. So you're sharing the same amount, just coming at different times.
Got you. That makes a lot of sense.
What Tanasia say? That's too much money just to preach the same gospel. And that was my attitude, Tanasia, because God really didn't put a price on it when he called us to the ministry. He didn't say you could follow me if you give me 3,000, 5,000. He just told you to come as you were, drop whatever you were doing and do that. But for some, if it's their, livelihood, I could see them having a set fee. But even though you have that set fee, if you know where you're going, I would expect that the Lord would already have softened your heart to understand that while we need or would love to have your ministry, we understand that, right now that's not something we could do financially. They're either going to say yay or nay. What I did find, and it's unfortunate, that some people will tell you a large amount because it's easier to tell you a large amount and hear you say you can't do it at this time than to tell you, no, I don't want to come to your church because it's too small. And that's facts. And you accept their answer because it's just not worth going back and forth. But I'm not upset about the size of our ministry. When it's time, if it's time, it'll happen. If not, we're going to continue because we don't need a lot of people in order to feel God at our house. God visits us. We have an encounter with him, and I'm glad about it. If you would love to, participate, that's fine. And if you don't, we're going to go on. We're going to go on. We don't stop over one ministry. Any business is groomed to grow, which means big business for some. Post that. But like I said, especially if this is their, full-time ministry, some people travel and they want their own musicians and stuff like that. And because they have to cover that cost, they pass that cost on to you, and so sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. Protocol says have a set range for each person that comes in to preach. We have the money already ready before they come. Yes. Normally we give more than our set range, and that's for any rank in ministry. Yeah. Pastor Rivera, how are you, sir? We're going to miss Tehillah Arise. I'm so mad we're going to miss that. Protocol says have a set range for each person that comes to preach. We have the money already. And that's good. That's good. If you're able to do that, it's a wonderful thing. Not all people are able to do that. It depends on whether you have a working ministry versus, everybody on set things. It depends on the mindset of the people at the time that is coming on, because, no matter what you do, they can see God perform miracles left and right. But some of them just, don't have that same level of faith that you have, that if I give, God's going to make sure that it comes back to me. And God's going to bless me doubly because of the way that I give, which is the way that most people fail to do, which is to give in a cheerful manner, so that God would see fit to bless your seed or your sowing or your money, however your terminology is for your giving. It's all a matter of your attitude in which you give that affects how God responds to you. So I would definitely agree with that, Pastor. So our time has come. Amen. It's 10:30. I've been trying to do real good, but not going over an hour and a half. I don't know how we got to this part, y'all. We started out talking about panic attacks and anxiety attacks, and here we are. But I tell you, the church will make you have a panic attack, though. In that case, it's about the money and not the gospel. They can't say that they're about their Father's business, but not come because the church is too small. People get blessed and heal and take place in small church. Amen. Hallelujah. Wholeheartedly. It's coming back to the storefront days. You just watch. It's coming. And when we go out to preach, we have a set standard to give to bless the ministry in which we go. Usually my wife and I give in our church, and our church gives. Yes, you do. And I know that to be a fact. So yeah, we're getting ready to sign off. Like I said, this was still a wonderful conversation. You guys will communicate. Anytime you guys are communicating with us, it's a wonderful thing. Even if we do like we did tonight and get off topic, we had a discussion and we heard one another. We agreed. We gave other ways of looking at things. And that's what it's all about, because nobody has all the answers. Nobody knows how to do it all right. If that was the case, then Jesus would have already come back for the perfect church. So since he didn't come back yet, we all got some stuff to do. And so we just thank those of you, all of the leaders that came on every week. We have more and more leaders that come through and express and share with us in word. And we thank you so much for counting us worthy of that. We don't take that for granted. We love what we love. And we just love you. We love you for believing in us. If you didn't, you wouldn't be coming on, or else you're doing a good job of fooling us. And so we thank you. We will start another subject next week. We're going to try it. We've been trying for 3 weeks to get off of it, but we have been dealing with having how to note the signs of a panic attack, an anxiety attack, and how to move beyond that. And so this, and then we turned into a church forum. What you gonna say? I love it, because this is our time and the way we like to do things. It doesn't matter. We love y'all. They're saying they love us. A lot of people saying they love us.
Mm-hmm. We love you too. Sorry, I was taking a phone call.
So thank you. I don't know what we're going to talk about, next week. Today we did talk a little bit about being invisible, standing right in front of somebody and still feeling invisible, or being in the room, and being in the room full of conversation and everything but your opinion is always addressed or picked up on. You're just made to feel invisible, amongst many. And so it's a real thing. And a lot of people experience it, and you'd be surprised. I mean, with the ones who talk to us, I'd be like, you would just never believe that some of this stuff is really happening and not in the Lord's church. And so our prayer is that the church would come back to church. I'm going to keep on saying it just as long as Noah keep on talking about it's going to rain. I can't wait till the church comes back to church. We will see such a difference in our lives. We will see such a difference in our churches. We will see such a difference on social media. It's become a wrestling ring instead of a means of coming together and finding old, friends or whatever. It's just crazy.
I think I will be glad. I'm finding it very hard for the churches in Allentown to come together. I've been trying to get a fellowship going with just us, so we don't always have to go into Newark and New York and wherever and pull these churches, like all of the churches in the surrounding areas, to just come together. That's my desire. I think that gleaning from one another, not me coming with a hidden agenda or you coming with a hidden agenda, just everybody coming together and just fellowshipping under one roof. And I have been here for 5 years, maybe 7, and it has been a task trying to get the churches to come together and just fellowship one with the other. Like we always go places, or we always go to churches, people that don't even come and visit us. Especially in Allentown, I've never heard so much of your church is too far. Well, ma'am, I travel the same distance to come to your church, 3 and 5 hours, but it's too far for you to come out here. So I think that's my desire for 2024, that the churches would just pull together. There's no big eyes and little U's. Leaders strengthening leaders. Are you advertising your cup? That's all I wanted to say.
That's facts. And unfortunately in Allentown is so real. It's taken something for me to get used to, that people don't fellowship, like or they don't like fraternizing because they scared members is going to leave one church. That's just, I ain't never experienced as much as I have here in Allentown. Pastor Rivera said Lehigh Valley is tough.
It is tough. Tough is an understatement. It really is.
So we're going. I was going to say we're going home now. We're getting off. We're signing
Today.
off now. Right. See, it's coming. And again, thank you to all the pastors, the apostles, the bishops. We had some of everybody on here tonight. I can't remember everybody, because some of you were in the very beginning and most of you are here in the very end with us. But we thank you for joining us, for participating, allowing our audience to hear what you have to say and be able to participate even further in conversation with you. Excuse me, that meant a lot to me tonight to see that it was a continual thing. Everybody signed on and had something to add, and we just stayed there. And that's the way it flows until God says differently.
Pastor Rivera, aka Apostle, give your wife our love. Tell her we love her very much. Sorry we are going to miss. We was trying to figure out how we could do it, but this is the weekend where we have our godchildren and we're planning some things for birthdays and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. You never know. Maybe they'll come and go to church with us for their birthday.
12-year-olds. Yeah, okay.
But give the wife our love. Tell her we love her so very much.
Oh, I love you, baby boy.
Love you. You are a ball of wisdom, sir.
Yeah, honey.
You are a ball of wisdom. You happen to be Jeremiah's favorite.
The Bible.
I gotta say something funny. He probably gonna get me. You inboxed Jeremiah the other day, and he was about to cry because he thought that you was not gonna be able to be in his wedding. He was not happy. But I thank God it was another date because he probably would.
It's the very next day, actually.
That thing was funny.
Crystal said he all right.
You married him, so you must love him,
honey, and still there, and still there. All right, so we love you guys. We'll see you next week. I'm not sure what we'll be talking about. My bestie could come up with a conversation for next week, but we'll be here nevertheless. Looking to we'll be here. We'll be here. Continue to pray for us. Some 10 years later. You see what I'm saying? 10 years? Honey, that's the number right there. Time to renew them vows. We'll be here next week. I don't know what the conversation will be. I feel like a Baptist preacher. I done said this like 5 times. I'm getting ready to close. Oh, yeah. So meet us here next week. 14 years together. 10 years married, 14 years together. That's a lot. And we'll be here ready to talk about
fake friends.
Apostle wants to talk about fake friends. Go figure. We'll be here next week. We'll try to let you know in advance, if is a specific topic. You're always
your Facebook thing gonna go up to 90 next week.
You're always welcome to actually come on. We can bring you on as a guest. I try every week to get somebody to come on. We started out that way. When we first started, we used to have somebody come on every week. But we offer that to you if you're ever a guest and you see what we're talking about and you want to come on, just let us know and we will bring you on and allow you to speak to the people and let them respond to you and have conversation. We love you. What you should say? That's my cue, signing out. Get off the internet. All right, guys. Besties, get ready to pray us out.
Father, we thank you and we give you glory. We praise you for this time and this hour. Now, God, as we go our separate ways, we pray that you will cover us under your blood. Until we meet back here again on next week, we thank you for Apostle Irma as always. Father, continue to strengthen her is my prayer. We thank you and we give you glory to everyone that logged on, to everyone that had an input. I pray that you would give them double, God, for just signing on to hear what we have to say tonight. We thank you for this platform reaching high numbers. We thank you for lives being changed and transformed, God, through something that we say. Thank you for wisdom and knowledge on what to say and how to move, God. In the name of Jesus, we thank you and we give you praise. In Jesus' name, amen. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. We love you. Have a great remaining week.